Oh, here's Mr. Jeremy. It's your meeting. I'm just listening.
Hey, Jeremy.
Terms and conditions.
How you doing?
Good. How's it going?
Pretty good. Dennis is in, where are you, Dennis? Miami for DealCon?
Miami, and helping our clients buy more companies.
Yep,
Good place. I'm going to back out real quick and come back in. My other camera's not working. We'll be right back.
All right.
No problem. There we go. Is that better?
We'll see if it has the other camera here in a second. It's loading. We got Jason here too. He's my brother and the marketing director for our company. If I can get that camera to work, you'll see him too. Otherwise, it'll just be me.
Perfect.
So you guys been doing all right?
Yeah, it's been a good few
Yep.
weeks. Dennis has been doing a lot of traveling. I was doing a lot of traveling, but I'm back home now in Minnesota. Oh, here, Jeremy.
They have such a pro YouTube setup and such a pro studio. You figure that would translate to Zoom.
No, it works on every other platform. It just doesn't work on Zoom.
Okay.
All right. So anyway, Jason's here too.
Hey, Jason.
Hi.
You do look like brothers.
I won't take that as a compliment. All right. Appreciate you guys being with us. Kind of enjoyed the presentation at NAMM. It's stuff that on a very limited basis we've already been working on. We just switched to Shopify in April of last year for the website, and then switched all the way to point of sale and everything by November. But hadn't really put much effort at all into our e-commerce SEO. We do about 80% of our sales online right now, and most of that's just driven from the direct traffic from our YouTube content. We're wanting to capture more organic searches, obviously, and we have the stockpile of what do you got? 2,000 videos on YouTube, somewhere around there.
Oh, more than that.
Yeah, 3,000. So a lot of content on there, with deep dive reviews on instruments to just overall this versus that. We started repurposing. AI allows us to do a lot that we couldn't have done before. So we have been transcribing all the videos and then creating blog posts in our voice, basically from the video, and then doing some of the internal link structure, but it's very superficial right now. So we haven't gone very deep in it. We've seen pretty good results already from what we have done. And you brought up some of that when we did the initial Zoom meeting for NAMM, where mandolins are raking pretty high from that little effort we've done. But now I just want to get serious on this. And you guys seem like that's the plan that you use, is repurposing video and using all the assets we've currently got to gain value in our website.
Yeah, precisely. I think it's cool you guys have started to pave the way there. Obviously, this is what we do, like you said. And so I think we totally could come in and really automate this and build out a good workflow for your team to be able to bring it in-house and be able to get this done a lot quicker, as well as higher quality stuff that Google likes, like using EAT and all these things, which is going to be easy if you guys do good content on your YouTube, which you do. It'll be easy to show that through the blog posts when they're repurposed. So I think you guys are in a great spot. As much of a catalog of good content that you have, it's all what Dennis was talking about on stage for 3 hours. It's pretty much the main point of it was have your biggest hits do the work for you, right? Invest in your evergreen content and products. And I think that repurposing for you guys would be huge, as you already know. I don't know if you have anything to add to that, Dennis.
I'll just echo what Jeremy was saying. So the 3,000 videos you have on YouTube, that fact, you've seen good signals from repurposing and just from the data that we saw, like in the Zoom thing we had, what was it, a few months ago? YouTube, we know, is part of Google, and therefore it's one of the many arenas to be able to rank. And it's not just in regular search or YouTube or social media or news or knowledge panels or different search features, but ultimately we want to win in AI mode, which is what people are calling zero click. So I'd love to see your analytics to see if there's been a drop off in direct traffic and drop off in like in your search console data to see, are we getting less? And you probably are, because that's what we see across other guys, not just in e-com, but other people that sell other kinds of products. And provided that we can win in AI mode And when in ChatGPT, which is their version of AI mode, which is the integrated result instead of clicking on one of the other things, then we should be able to drive more traffic from the LLMs. And if you are using the integrations that Shopify has or their pixel, because you have to run your pixel, but they put their pixel, you got to make sure we know whose pixel it is. And we run those through Tag Manager, which I assume your brother knows how to set up properly. The container that has all the tags in it, which is a little bit of a headache initially to get all the tags at one place and UTMs and that conversion API, all those components, then we will be able to adjust the content that we believe is winning from a business value standpoint, as opposed to it got more views, which are not the same thing.
Yeah.
And the fact that there's so much content tells me three things. One is that your brother needs to clone himself and have 5 more. But Elon Musk won't have that for another 10 years. So between now and then, and so you reached out to us because you want to get more stuff done. So I think the approach is, as Jack mentioned, we can help you in the interim, just get stuff set up. A lot of things have to happen one time that aren't really a fit for ongoing internal functions. There's a lot of companies ask us to set things up because you don't want to, certain skills that you don't want to have on in-house, but an ongoing functional thing you do. So we can do that setup and put a lot of processes in place, give your brother and you, if you want, Jeremy, access to these various agents and tools and whatnot we build, which our agents improve when the labs improve their stuff too. Because with all of us, we're building stuff on top of what's out there. So as stuff gets better, our stuff gets better. And then part 3 is, while that's happening, we like to bring someone in-house. It could be someone that you have that we train up. It could be, there's so many musicians that are out and everyone plays the guitar. Even I play the guitar. I suck, not like you guys. I suck. But I think you have such a hobbyist base that if you leverage people that like mandolins and guitars and whatnot from your community, because this can be a remote kind of job, you have this perfect storm of hobbyists that imagine they could work for the Acoustic Shoppe as a part-time thing because they have so much product knowledge. Like I had a Martin D18, and I had a D1, and I had a Taylor 810 with a CE. I can imagine like back then when I was learning how to play, I'm still learning how to play, I'm not, whatever. If I had an internship in high school or college working with you guys, that would be like a dream come true. That's like a kid who plays basketball, being able to work for Nike, right?
Yeah.
I know 80% of it is, you said e-com, but maybe there's something to be said about someone in Plano or whatnot that could also be with you guys, and maybe a team of folks who are external. But the beauty of AI and all of this is that if we document and demonstrate what we do, and we say, look, Acoustic Shoppe is hiring. If you can pass this, if you can play Stairway to Heaven at A minor, whatever, then we'll hire you. You can be a part of the band the AI band. And then I can see this being the kind of thing where there could be more people that they love music as a passion, and they find that it's actually like also a career too. Kind of what you guys have done as brothers, which is a great resonant story for what you guys do. And it's a great tie-in for what Jack and I are doing, where we're at NAMM because we are demonstrating what we do. We're freely giving away everything that we do because we want to inspire other people to follow in our footsteps and use the checklists and find that it works. I would love next year at NAMM, because the NAMM folks told us how good it was, and everyone we're so honored they gave us such good feedback. We're talking about next year already. I would love to say, look, do you remember last year we had Jeremy and his brother, and they moved to Shopify, and then they're doing these things. They did this stuff in-house. They used the playbook that we gave out back then. And here's the playbook, but we've made it even better as the tools have gotten better. And all you mom and pop shops, you can follow what Jeremy and them are doing. And then think about I know this may or may not align with what you guys want to do, but with what Jack and I want to do, think about how awesome that would be, where if we can help that many more Jeremys be able to grow there. Because I don't want to like stereotype Jeremy. Most of these guys are just They're great musicians and teachers, but when it comes to the business side and the marketing and the Shopify, they're just lost. And we don't want that to be a disadvantage. And if you are, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but if this is part of your thing where you want to pay it forward and you want to help other people by sharing what you're doing, I guess technically with ecom, maybe if we publish like how we do stuff, there's other people that are selling mandolins, but I don't really see these other people as competitors. I see it as a way more net positive. But the idea of learn to teach, where we do the stuff together and we help other people that are part of NAMM, which are most of these guys are in store. They're local, right? You're a flip-flop of what these other guys have. But that's what we would want out of something, a relationship with you guys.
Yeah,
We're looking at the bigger picture.
that's our goal. That's one of our missions is for the acoustic community specifically. That's our goal, is to build a bigger acoustic community. I think we still have some advantages in just the amount of effort and traction we've made with content creation in general, that even giving away a lot of the secrets doesn't mean that we still have a bit of a lead on a lot of the folks that are a competitive advantage. But we've done NAMM presentations ourselves, showing clearly what we do, with the understanding that a lot of people just won't do it. They'll write it down. I think NAMM is a great idea, but taking the initiative and doing it is another thing. We're definitely not against that.
Yeah.
A lot of things we're running across right now that you guys might have more, I'm sure do have more experience, so even specifically with Shopify and the high-end acoustic instrument retail, is we have to treat every D18 serial number as a one-of-one product. And figuring out the best way to do that in Shopify, we hired a fellow to try to make a top parent product, would have all the SEO in it, and then each serial number underneath will be a variation. That didn't quite work out for a number of reasons. So now we're looking at building a collection, and the way Shopify calls it, for Martin D18s, and then each of the Martin D18 individual one-of-one serial numbers is in that collection, so that if it sells out, we're not having broken links in SEO leak from a D18 now no longer in stock.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys will run across that much, or what the best way is to structure our serialized inventory.
That is in the weeds beyond what I know, but we know other people who could. And of course, Shopify has their premium and they have their own services to help with that. There are people that are Shopify geeks that can help with that. That's not our area of expertise, but we can certainly help figure that out.
All right. That would be helpful, because I think if we put a lot of effort into winning the Martin D18, but that one product sells out, we're like starting over every time we sell one, which hopefully is on a weekly development.
But if people come in on a D18, and even if we sell out or we don't have any inventory, we can still show related guitars. So it's not, unless they're like hard set on, I need to have this particular one with the pearl inlays in this way or whatever.
It's more of the SEO that was leading people to that D18 product. Once it sells off the Shopify, is no longer listed online. So
So it's a platform specific thing.
Yeah.
And Shopify wasn't really made for SEO. Shopify is an e-commerce art. So it's like this weird mix of using WordPress and Shopify together. But those are all tactical issues we can solve.
Oh, yeah. So I guess running through, I know you mentioned a few different plans. One is creating the playbook and the SOPs, and just a basic plan to take in-house. But others, if we then find somebody either in-house or hire somebody to go through your AI for the 12-month period, what do those two different programs look like for you guys? What would you recommend? What are some of your ideas?
The two things, very simple. One is that we do mark the month done for you, where we're your agency, right? And so that's $2,500 a month. So that's a typical agency thing where we implement. And you might fire us after 3 months because you find somebody or whatnot, which is great. We want to be fired. Some people hold on longer because they had the intent, but for whatever reason, never found anyone yet, or that's fine too, right? So that's the month to month, just to get things going. Then if you have somebody, or maybe you have someone now, or maybe you don't want done for you services, but you just want like support, coaching and consulting, that is the $7,500 for the year, the AI Apprentice program. So done for you implementation, which is $2,500 a month, which is not coaching, consulting, and training. It's doing it. You bring your car to the mechanic to get it fixed. You don't ask them to teach you how the carburetor works, okay? or you have a person in our program who learns how. Now, what some people do is they'll start with the done for you because there's stuff that they just, for various reasons, they just need to get it done, or they don't really have someone yet. So they can start with that. And then when they find someone, they can bring someone else in on the Apprentice program. And some people will say, we already have someone. We just want to bring them in on the Apprentice program. We don't need any of the done for you support. Like, that's fine too.
Yeah.
But a lot of agencies, they try to bundle that, or they pretend that they're here to answer any question or whatever, but really they're just implementation, or they just do coaching or sell courses, but they don't actually do it themselves. So we like to keep those, make it clean what those two are.
Yeah.
And a lot of folks, the bigger companies, do both, which is great.
Yeah. I was thinking more of a hybrid approach of the monthly full service where you guys get into our actual content, our actual pages, and figure out the best process for where we currently are to where we need to go. And then once you've got that handled, we look at that onboarding of a new internal member that can just take it over and keep it up on a regular basis. Partially just because our content, we're putting up, I don't know what, 5 to 10 videos a week, and keeping up with that. I think we found that having somebody internal that's part of those meetings in the morning to figure out this week's content, and then they start their part of the plan while we're doing the video and editing and with vendors of what points we're going to cover. It just works really well in-house, and as we grow, I see that being the ultimate goal.
Yeah, it has to be in-house because you guys, even though technically you are a merchant, you're e-commerce, you also behave as a publisher because of the volume of content that you have. So there is a publisher model, which is like the creator model, where you're creating a certain amount of content, like news and media TV stations. And so there's a cadence towards processing content. But what we care most about is actually on the business side, which is traffic and conversion, like driving sales. So what you're trying to do both, and you can. What I would say is, though, the business metrics should take priority. This will take a while with some cadence, but as we are doing analysis, as we're repurposing content, we're going to find what we call the greatest hits, the ones that do the best. And that's where we want, like we talked about in the summit, that's where we want to put the most time into. So 80% on the greatest hits. As new content, 10 or 15 new pieces every month, that could be the 20%. But what we don't want to do is put most of the effort on working on this week's content, because then we get into a newsroom, media production, content calendar thing, and then the business side suffers. See what I'm saying? And it's this is the whole, are you a rock star, or are you a daily news TV? Here's the latest weather. Which one are you? And I really like the greatest hits model, because when we have a winner, it just continues to produce. And that's good for all of us, instead of here's new content this week. Now this latest, why didn't yesterday's video perform? And so you're constantly stuck in looking at content from the last few days and never going back to the greatest hits. If from a business, because you two own the business. So if you agree that we want to start with the business metrics first, then we'll spend most of the effort on this library and extracting more out of the library, but putting some effort into the new stuff you have each week, but not letting this distract from this. Do you see what I'm saying? That's the risk we have here, because otherwise it becomes an unlimited resource request. And then you just won't have enough people.
I think also using some of the things you discussed about the people also ask, and being an answer, helping steer some of our content creation to, hey, we haven't yet covered what is the best tuning of a mandolin, or what are the best strings to use, or whatever the question is that people are asking. Start to actually, on a regular basis, add them to our content creation schedule, so that we know, hey, we're getting a lot of mileage out of answering questions. Let's do, for every review video we do, we have to do one answer question, or whatever that cadence we do. At least give us some input that we can mull over in our content planning schedule.
Yeah. So we call those QA blocks. So when you think about PAA, where Google tells us, hey, people who look for mandolins, they also want to know tuning and strings and how long does it take to learn, or all that kind of stuff. I imagine you already have those questions answered in a lot of these videos. Maybe do a live stream and you take people questions for the audience, that kind of stuff. So you can take stuff from what we've already produced, which is what we were just talking about. And then we can also strategically say, okay, we're already going to record on Wednesday. And we have time towards the end. That's just when we handle all the quick little one-off questions that we're able to clip. and turn into YouTube shorts and all that kind of stuff. So that's how we're able to still handle, if we maintain the big library of all the questions that we need to answer, map it against what we've already answered. Then when you are producing at a certain cadence going forward, we know how to slot that in without creating additional separate recording efforts. I love to answer those within long form instead of having to have like separate sessions just to try to handle stuff. For you guys, that's what I recommend. For the mom and pops, because they don't even do this, then we recommend, okay, just set up an hour and then just every week, just answer this set of questions.
Yeah, although I get the greatest hits model. My only question is, with the way our industry works, is what it's always with our content creation is always what's new, and that's why we're at the front of it. For example, with Mark, when they do all their NAMM releases, right? It's all new content. It's all the new greatest things. Focusing on that, and part of it is my question is, when we're focusing on all the SEO on some greatest hits for our content, are we also going to have spot for all that new stuff? Like, it's always
yeah. So it's back to this 80-20 thing. So if you, from a publishing standpoint, treat yourself as a news station where here's today's weather, here's today's sports, here's what, and here's this model that Martin just released, limited edition, they've only made 50. You can cover that. And certainly by showing that you have leadership because you're the first ones to have this, you have a close relationship with Martin, that's good. But we recommend, if you look at it from a business standpoint, if the business makes money off of selling items through Shopify, then we know that look at the traffic, look at the sales, look at the keywords that people are coming in on, they're coming in on general terms, which you saw in the workshop, you saw in the audit that we did. Those are the keywords that make the money. That's the intent that makes the money. They may have initially seen, oh, here's a new thing, but when they eventually buy, they're not necessarily buying that product. And they also usually have multiple touches. It's not like they saw one YouTube video and then they decided they wanted to buy the Acoustic Shoppe. Right? So yes, you can still be news and media and here's the latest thing, but just understand that's not evergreen. And our recommendation is, if I had $1 for every time this issue's come up, this is probably the most common issue in content strategy, what you bring up. In this conversation, what we say is, yes, we can do that, but let's have that be 20% and let's have 80% be focusing on what's actually driving the business. Because if we flip it, and this happens all the time in almost every single organization where they're trying to be media, influence or whatever, they literally put 99% of the effort on news. This thing just happened. By definition, that's not evergreen. So that news, who cares what happened with the weather was 3 weeks ago? I don't care. So if 99% of the effort is on that, or there's only 1% or 0% on the greatest hits, then your business, yeah, you'll get more views and all that, but it doesn't drive sales. And then you're going to fire us and say, you guys are not driving sales. We need to focus on the things that drive the sales. That's why we like to say this up front, to say, okay, your whole thing is growing the YouTube channel. Okay, fine, then forget about sales. But we like to put 80% on the business, because anytime you're paying money for services or paying money for ads, there needs to be an ROI. Because you just have to watch the balance. We're not saying you can't do media, can't do news. We just watch the balance.
So curious, when you guys are looking for the greatest hits, what you're using for that? Are you using more of the actual tracking clicks from the video or sales data, or is it views on YouTube?
It's all of it. The lower it is in the funnel, Jeremy, the more valuable it is.
I guess that would be interesting to see how we isolate what the biggest things are to focus on initially and kind of milk those and then move on to the next one in line.
Yeah. You might have a lot of traffic on mandolins. It may or may not drive sales. I don't know. Let's see. We need to do analysis. Just because there's traffic, just because there's ranking, just because there's views doesn't mean sales. And you're going to hold us accountable to sales. I know this. People say, no, we just want to take care of our audience, but there's always a conversation about sales. And eventually that's always held accountable. I just know this, right?
Yeah.
So I always want to make sure we're clear on what the objective is and why these objectives mean these sorts of actions and these priorities, right?
We're not here to be famous. Here was.
Because you want to fund more people on the team, we got to make money to pay for these people.
Our
Right?
YouTube channel is there to make sales, and it has been actually a huge driver of our growth. And that's without us really optimizing the organic version of it. Most of the sales we're getting are directly from the community that follows us online every week. And then they see something new, and we'll do live streams where this is a brand new product. We're unboxing it right now, and they call and say, I want that guitar, and I'm looking at. So there is that direct sales, but like you said, that leaves that one initial sale. We want those ones that they're coming for every D18 or MD305 mandolin that we have on a regular basis, because we put so much content value on that specific model that is in something we restock on a regular basis and sell quickly and consistently.
Yeah. But look at these things that are evergreen. You have a video 3 years ago, top 10 beginner guitars. You have another one like top guitars under $500, right? You have playlists on Taylor and other brands. While that might not seem sexy, over time, that's what's driving you. Go look in your SEO data. That's what's actually driving traffic. Not the bump of the stuff you've done. Like of whatever videos you make this week on YouTube, look at what percentage of your traffic comes from the videos you made in the last week versus videos from you made a long time ago. And that might help you see why we want to prioritize according to traffic and sales.
That makes sense. So what does a standard onboarding sort of situation look for you guys? Do you have a playlist of what you guys go through? Do you look up under the hood and see what we've got going on first and then come up with a plan?
We get access first. We have a process to do that. We set up a project management system inside Basecamp, the world's most popular project management system. Then you guys designate a project owner and a lead person that we can talk to, which ideally shouldn't be the business owner. Should be someone else, because the business owners often they often want to be the one, but they never have the time. And then they become a bottleneck unintentionally. So somebody who is the point person, right? And that person's there to get us whatever we need. Often there's some kind of access thing, or you have to get an answer to some kind of question. So in this initial setup phase of, let's just call it 2 weeks, getting access, making sure we know which reports are coming from where, and this is how we're evaluating the business. We'll then say, this is our analysis of what's going on. And then every week, every Friday, you'll get a report from us that we call MAA, Metrics Analysis Action. And this is what we're doing, what we've learned from it. And here's, because of what's worked here not working, this is what we intend to do next, which is a testing hypothesis. So continuously learning, trying to improve what we have. And that way we're able to prioritize what are the things that we want to work on, instead of, here's a million things, let's try to do all of these things. No, let's prioritize of all these things, which is the most important thing to be focusing on. That way we're bringing it back to the business instead of what's cool, right? And that way we're on the same page. So it's not 24/7 live supports. It's, let's engage inside. But if we need to get on the call, we can. But we find through email and Basecamp, we can get things done, because very rarely is there some kind of urgent thing that requires all of us to drop whatever we're doing, right? It's the tuning of marketing is a long-term, it's compound interest basically, right? It's like assets that continue to produce. And the key is getting the tracking in place initially, so we're all on the same page on measurement and marketing ROI. And then as the team produces more content, whether it's new YouTube videos that you have or repurposing existing videos into clips and into articles and in between them and seeing what the impact of that is, or running ads, right? If we can boost YouTube videos, then we decide what the allocation is. Allocation of effort, allocation of content, allocation of ad dollars. And so we're really running it like a portfolio manager. Just happens to be guitars and mandolins.
All right. Yeah, I guess kind of let us know what that initial onboarding is. We still got to discuss it as a team with our leadership team, make sure everybody's on the same page with this. But the main focus of especially the first half of 2026, is to come up with a repeatable plan for converting our efforts online and video content into real world organic search results. And right now we're using Drop-In Blog as the app for our blog. I don't know, when you say you guys do the full service, are you guys writing the blog content? Are you giving us
We
the
take, we,
topics to
we,
cover?
we will take those YouTube videos and turn them into articles according to our article standards. And it is not an automated pull. It requires a human using tools, but it's always human oversight. In this case, it's US-based people on our team.
Okay. Similar to what we've been doing, I think. I had a question. So we're talking about ad spend. Is everything you guys doing dependent on ad spend, or is that
No.
just the addition?
No, and ads are, when we find things that work as part of what we call the greatest hits, organic things that will perform well, then we say, let's put more money against it. Why not? Unless you're fully, for some reason, you just really want to do organic only. And we don't believe in setting a particular budget. We think that it should be driven by ROI. Sometimes it's more or less. Sometimes there's a sale, whatever the thing is, it has to meet some kind of hurdle. Usually with e-com, we're looking at a 5 to 7 ROAS. So every dollar it's spent, we need to see $5 to $7 back. But it also depends on the margin of the different products and stuff.
Okay. Not pretty clear. Yeah, I understand most of this. I think some of the initial setup, like you were talking about, our tag manager and stuff, is a bit of a mess since you did the Shopify switch over. I had sent it out a couple years ago. So I hadn't been using Google Analytics, obviously, at all really since Shopify and that's on. But so I'm thinking about setup maybe some cleaning up.
I can pretty much guarantee you that there's going to be a bunch of things that we uncover as part of what we call digital plumbing, which is all of that. And even like when we set it up for Nike or Red Bull or the Warriors or other companies that you would think have their analytics together, they absolutely do not. Because once you look inside, I think it sounds like you already understand, but just to set expectations, when we come in and we start looking, we're going to find things that need to be cleaned up. Maybe there's plugins that need to be removed. Maybe certain things are slowing down the site. Maybe we're not taking advantage of certain things that Shopify has. But just the expectation is there will be some fixing that needs to happen in the first month or two. Just because otherwise we can't track what's working or not. We can't just say, generally, YouTube is working for us. Yes, but can you prove it?
Yeah. All right. Well, so I guess one last question. With the full AI 12-month kind of training program, is that going to teach hands-on basically our internal house person how to use some of the agent possibilities in that? That was the one point of confusion. I still haven't set up agents, and GPT. I've been using Gemini, but they currently don't really have an agent mode. I was looking into using GPT and creating some of the agents that can go into YouTube, give us the analytics of what some of the things you were demonstrating, or go into Shopify and say, all right, can you create the backlinks between this blog on mandolins and all of our mandolin related? Will you guys be training that side of what you do?
Yeah, we do, and that changes all the time. And Google has now released their form of agents, although I think it's weak. All agents are weak. Even OpenClaw is weak. So it's a 1-year program, the AI Apprentice program. And it's like a fitness program. So if you want to get 6-pack abs, that's not a 1-month program. This is committing to a longer term goal of we want to bring it in-house and we need to show ROI from that, right? Whoever that person is needs to be able to show that they're running that function and they're optimizing it effectively. So that's a coaching program. Everyone comes together on a Thursday, or they can, which is what we call office hours, but they can also submit questions to the group. And we have different people that can come in and help depending on, initially there's always some issue with Tag Manager or ads optimization, or how do we use this particular tool or that tool, which is fine as part of the beginning just to get things going. And then your AI apprentice, your person, has to submit that weekly report every Friday according to the framework that we have, which is the framework we found that is the best to be able to assess this is how the business is doing, some marketing metrics.
All right.
Pretty straightforward.
Sounds like.
Is there anything that you need that we can clarify, or anything that we need to be able to talk about to show that there's clear ROI here?
I think the only question I have is, like you said, with some of the specific idiosyncrasies of Shopify, if you guys, what part of that we need to continue to do as far as building collections specifically for brand, or wait till we look under the hood and see what's working, what's not. And then if you guys come up with a plan together with us and that's what I was talking about with if we create great ROI great SEO on a specific one-of-one Martin D18 instead of a collection of the overall model. If anybody's searching Martin D18, this tells you all the pertinent information. It's got some videos that go along with why the Martin D18 is the greatest mahogany dreadnought guitar. We actually create a collection that is specifically for that model. And then every time we get in a new the reason we treat them as a one-of-one is we need to have individual photos of each guitar because they have different wood grains and different appearance to them. They have different weights to them. Customers want to know that the one they see the picture on there is the one they're getting. And then once that's full, Shopify then takes that off the internet and there's no longer any residual credit or any residual following of that information of that product. So we have to have some kind of master product.
Yeah.
If anybody does a search on D18 and we do a blog post on 10 different blog posts on D18, they all backlink to this product that's ever existent regardless of what we're selling it.
Yeah. And understood in the issue collections where you don't want stuff to disappear because then we lose all the rankings on whatever we work on. Do you see that as a blocker? Like without result, we can't do anything until we resolve this first.
I'm sure there's other parts of it, just getting traffic to the website in general, using the blog posts and answering questions would be beneficial. But I want to make sure we've got a really good foundation of, hey, do we need to build all these collections first so that we're getting the most out of these efforts?
Okay.
I think it's something we can figure out. I'm just saying we got to get those pieces in place first.
I would think, having done this for many years, I would think that when we get in and start to do analysis, we're going to find 5 or 6 different things that are like that we need to do. And we will just do them. Sometimes people come in and they say, oh, I have this one thing. And then they wait 6 months or a year because they get stuck on the one thing. And we don't do anything because of the one thing that blocks the entire thing from moving forward, which is fine. You don't want to, people who are stuck in that tend to be bad clients because it's just hard to get moving. Yeah. The folks that win, we've done this e-com digital marketing thing a long time. The folks that are just ready to jump in, solve the problems, figure it out. There's always a new problem every day. That's just how it is in business. And marketing, there's always some challenge. And it's just a matter of it's the speed and being able to solve these challenges. And that's what we're looking for in a partner. Otherwise, we don't want to be in the situation where we're just waiting forever. I get it. Like with a Nike, you got to wait a long time. They have to have 5 meetings before we do anything. But they can pay that kind of money and they're okay with waiting.
Yeah. No, we'd like to move fast. That's how we're growing so quickly.
Yeah. All right. Anything we need, or you guys need to take your time and have discussions, and it's your ball, whatever you guys want to do.
We got our next meeting on Friday, and we'll be able to give you an answer for sure by next week.
All right. Appreciate it.
I'll get you guys an email, just kind of summary of what we talked about today. You can bring to that meeting, outline the onboarding process, and just some goals that we talked about today.
That sounds great.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Yeah, good to see you guys.
Have a good one.